Hello, Narnach here. Welcome back to Grim Dawn. We're playing with the Ashes of Malmouth expansion as an Inquisitor, a Purifier to be precise. We are back in Burbage, because I realized there is an optional quest or an optional area that I haven't really gone to in quite a while. So I figured I'd show you, just to add a little bit of variety to the different playthroughs that I do. So finding myself right here now, so we have the shrine over here, we have the warden's house with the warden's cellar over there. So it's just down the road and then the blockade, and you just go your way down, and then over here you find a house with Harvey the Drifter in here. You can have a chat with him, he has all kinds of silly things to say, but he basically told you his secret for staying alive, and it is for going into the swamp. And there is a secret passage here, so if you follow that little ledge you can walk under the bridge. You can keep going, and then there is a tunnel here that is gonna take you to Harvey's hiding place. And there's no real explicit quest that sends you here, but it is kind of fun to do anyway. Realize I still have to do the Sliff necklace quest, because I keep getting them. Let's also put up our words of... What's it standing for again? Words of Renewal, yes. So I do wonder how the build is gonna be once we have some more points invested in all the different skill points, once we have a couple more points invested into the demolitionist side for some more AoE built into the fire strike. The first upgrade gives us a little AoE there. You would expect to be able to cross there, but you can't. Until then, we're mostly just blowing things up individually. We're not doing bad. But just on the coattails of playing a Necromancer, I just can't shake the feeling that I'm going through things slowly. As I said, that probably has to do with the fact that I did choose to take the slightly harder path through the game by just going guns only, no spells. I might have to revise that approach to the character if... a further investment into the AoE explosions from some of the gun upgrades don't quite pan out. So is there anything in here? Nope, not. Oh, there's some scrap. Wonderful, but there's no secrets hiding in there. And then there is a rickety ladder. That takes us to Hallowed Hill, which is nicely off of the coast from Burbage. And here we find some cold ones, level 23. Wonderful. Could say this is a challenge area, with the enemies not being up to 4 levels higher. Challenge areas does mean higher level items, so that's in general you could maybe say is that better. And of course a little bit more XP, but in return enemies are tougher to deal with. Okay, there's nothing really going on here. I seem to remember there was some stuff on the other side. Are they standing on the ledge there? Are they effectively shooting ducks? Shooting ducks? No, not quite. You are. Haha. Oh, there is one exalted stash. That is way more zombies than I'd like to tank. Good thing is we are ranged, so we don't really have to tank them. Just have to make sure that they don't throw their grenades at us all at the same time. Stormbox of Algoloth does quite some useful things as well. Night Hunter's chest guards, that's Nightblade. That's a Nightblade thing. Is it? Yeah, +2 to Night Chill. That is a Nightblade skill. Nice skill though. Ooh, and a uprooted tree stump. So far 2 exalted stashes. And we have more of the island to cover still. So we know that things loop back up, so I might as well just cover the downside here first. Level 24, that is 5 levels above me. That's even more powerful. And I'm slightly starting to feel boxed in, so let's take a small step backwards so at least the enemies are not attacking me from both the front and the back. This looks like we're doing enough damage that most enemies will get staggered for just hitting them, which is a pretty good thing. A staggered enemy doesn't walk towards you, and that is level 20. Level 20 is an interesting one because it grants us access to a couple of interesting components. Once we are slightly more free of enemies, we'll have a look at that. Enemies with shields do have a block chance, unfortunately. Way to counter that, of course, is just by shooting a lot of bullets. They can't block all of them. Wonderful. Right, let's take a small step backwards. So at level 20 we gain access to the enchanted flints. Fire-based, grants us a little bit of extra fire damage, burn damage, some physical to fire conversion, as well as an aura that grants us fire damage, a chance of burn damage, and a bonus to both our fire and burn damage. This one kind of neatly aligns with the Rune of Calastor, which is fire-based in its basis. Also, the Fire Strike, of course, gives you a little bit of fire damage, and as you put more points into it, that bonus becomes more substantial. Similarly, Explosive Strike over here is also fire aligned. The ranged expertise is pierce and all elementals, so that includes a tiny fire component, but bursting rounds here is physical and fire based, so boosting your fire damage with enchanted flint does align with the damage types you're dealing. And over here we have the same version, Hellsbane, which is lightning based, so that's more for the Stormbox of Elgoloth, which has a lightning component to it. And then Coldstone is for the Rune of Haggarad, as well as the chilling rounds. So there's all kinds of flavors you can pick from. Currently there's other stuff in my gun still. These are the lower tier ones, so I'll just swap them over once we make it to town. In terms of skill points, we are 2 points away from the next level. So for now we were ignoring the Word of Pain line, so we would have unlocked something else there, but we did get ourselves an upgrade for the Rune of Calastor. The Rune of Calastor becomes increasingly unstable, triggering an immediate additional detonation at point of contact that dazes nearby enemies. So that does, in a 4-meter radius, fire damage, burn damage over 2 seconds, as well as a stun for half a second to begin with, and it has 10 upgrade levels that do increase both the damage as well as the stun duration, but it looks like the radius is going to remain constant. So let's see whether that makes the Rune of Calastor slightly easier to use. Hey, that was indeed at point of throwing it already. And then afterwards you get the explosion. That makes it interesting. Okay. So the Rune of Calastor upgrade actually makes it pretty cool. Since after about half a second or so it looks like you get the first explosion, which has the stun, and then after that you get the projectiles, which have a knockback chance. You can just now throw multiple of them down with a 4-second recharge in between. Okay. I find myself constantly just being slightly surprised at the functionality of the Inquisitor skills. They are completely not what I had expected them to. And in this case, it's a good thing, because my first impression of the rune of Calastor, the fire rune, was not terribly great. So, especially because it only had the projectiles, it was difficult to properly use. Now we can just give it a guaranteed stun, which is pretty cool. So you more or less know if you throw the rune and it is gonna hit something. Okay, and from the looks of it, we've cleared everything here. Wonderful. So, just a little bonus deviation from the normal route. Oh, and maybe I should actually just go through the portal rather than clicking outside. So from town, we're gotta quickly empty our pockets and then set out towards the west. Let's see. Just to cost an ice spike, level 24. You know what, we'll just keep it aside. Might be useful, might not be useful. These gloves, they boost all kinds of stats that I don't really use. So, despite more armor, just not all that great. Bonus elemental damage and energy regeneration. Could be useful maybe in a boss fight or something. And usually if you sell these now, you get 16 for it, so it's not actually going to be all that lucrative to sell it. Leveling into 20. We did get access to some more gear. I went through my stash, just picking out some items that unlocked at 20. So we have the Explorer's cover. We have the Explorer's foot pads, those are the boots. That grants us a total of 8% total speed. So that's movement and attack and cast speed, which is rather nice. And for the body armor, slightly more armor and just a shift to different resistances. And the pants we'll keep for another time. Level 24 we get access to the runestone that unlocks slightly later. But I did remember to bring a silk swatch for the body armor. The physical or the pierce resistance is slightly wasted, but the bleeding is useful. And a Mark of the Traveler for the boots. I really do like Mark of the Traveler. You get movement speed, you get slow resistance, and you get health regen, which helps us stay alive. And I do like staying alive. Yep. So we got some monies. Let's see if we have enough monies to... let's see, for salvaging. Then we grab our revolver. And then we keep the item. And then we can insert something else. So if we have a look at our damage, fire strike. A lot of physical, a lot of pierce, a little bit of fire, a little bit of lightning, and there's no cold component to this. So for our normal attacks, lightning is winning out by a little bit. On average it's doing 16.5 points of damage, whereas fire is only 13. But it's really not all that much. For the runes, we've got cold. Each element has something going for it. So the question is, do we want a chance of dealing burning damage? So one of the things I said, one of the issues is that our build is not entirely reliable yet, because there's just so many things that have a small chance of happening. So stacking burning on top of that might not be the best thing at this point. Now we have a chance to stun. And we have a slow. I think the chance to stun from the Hellsbane ammo is probably going to be the most useful one, since it does keep enemies under control. It's chance based, but when it does, it is actually a useful effect. So that is one of the effects. So we can have a look over here. Lightning Nova. No, that's not the one I want. Electrifying weapons. Yes, that is the one I want. I think there was a song about that. So we have 2 useful runes left for the other one, but I'm not sure if we have enough money for this. No, we need quite some money to remove it. So I think that's gonna be for another time. There's no runes in here, so we can sell these, but we still are not rich enough to remove the component from this one. So we'll just move forward with our lives. So now we get a movement speed bonus from our Word of Renewal. We get a movement speed bonus from our boots and from the set. So we are rather speedy. And we have a chance to stun everything that we hit with our speedy attacks. As well as we have a freeze with the rune of Hagrod, the cold rune. We have some stunning with our fire rune. We have a knockback chance with the fire rune. So there's a lot of control magic aspects that are now slowly starting to stack here. So just put the runes down here and just go for it. And just keep stacking things, and this is looking much better. Oh, someone is healing. Stop doing that. I just realized, how much damage are we doing now? We are doing actually a lot of lightning damage. So those auras are pretty potent. So next step is to go for Edmund's stash. It's easy to forget because it is inside. But well, it is loot and you don't say no to loot. Then there's usually a group of folks over here. Which are rather easy to dispatch. So yeah, as I said, let's go back to town, have a quick chat with Mornay, who will send us forward. In terms of money, we still need about 500, but we might get a reward here. So, next up is gonna be to go for Mr. Dude, Darius Cromley. Let's see, is this going to be a useful one? Well, we have the Explorer's cover, so for now I'm just going to ignore some of the upgrades until we have really out-leveled it. And okay. Back to the waypoint, and let's see if we can unlock the next one. On our way to the next waypoint, we're going to encounter some golems and bulls and bugs, wasps to be specific. Actually, seems to go pretty well. Maybe it was just a matter of increasing the total damage we deal, and the AoE aspect is actually decent already. Really do apologize. Having an itch in your throat is really not a useful thing, especially not if it kicks in halfway while you are recording. Yeah, so there is a cave here. Parallel to the cave is a road that leads up that actually has a small side quest. But the important bit here is this Desecration Shrine. And lots of ghosts with lots of bosses. The Spined Cove here is always a useful one to just do a full clear of, because there's just so many bosses in here. It's amazing. Okay, 2 heroes. Let's see, a regenerator and another dude. So let's just take out the other dude. Okay, our turtle shield kicked in, hence the yellow shield. The generator is down. Lots of things on the floor makes it difficult to see what's actually standing close to me. And there we are. 4 blue items from a single Shrine. I do like it. Acolyte's Court, bonus to damage, spirit and offensive ability, as well as a bonus to pets. Not quite useful for us. Maven's Tome, that's a Arcanist set. The hood and the tome are items you can find. The lens is actually something you need to find a blueprint for so you can craft it. Razorback's Spined Mantle. It's a decent health upgrade. There's no resistances on here, that's too bad. And the retaliation. It's useful if you're gonna go for a retaliation build. Or no, for a build that doesn't really want to be hit. In my case, I think I'm just gonna focus on what we currently have. I do like the resistances, maybe a little bit more than the retaliation. But the bonus to piercing damage actually does apply to us. Shadow's Grasp, +2 to Veil of Shadows, kind of combines nicely with the Night Hunter's Chest Guard. I believe these are both the the Cold Aura as well as the upgrade for the Cold Aura. On the low level Nightblade, that's a nice one to have. Let's see, this is not a damage upgrade, and if we look at the modifiers, we see it has a boost to Ether and Vitality damage. Those are not the types that we deal, so that's why it makes sense that this is not an upgrade. And this one is also just not all that useful for us. Okay. So let's just sort it so it looks nice and neat, and then let's clean out the rest of the area. The tricky thing about ghosts is they tend to spawn all over the place, including behind you. So I'm just gonna have to walk around and be prepared for ambushes. Oh, they are so predictable in their unpredictableness. A packed together group like this is actually perfect for the upgraded Rune of Haggarod. This is the other entrance. Just briefly stun everybody, and after that you drown them in explosions. Stormbox on it. Yeah, I think I do like this. Let's see, if we open up with the Stormbox and then put down the rune, then you actually strip their defensive ability first. Double check. Yeah, reduced offensive ability, and then if you combine it with the rune, then you have an increased chance of hitting and critting enemies. Purple boss, also note to self. Let's actually put our aura back up. Or our, it's not an aura, but it is our health upgrade that's more or less going to be up permanently, so it's a not quite permanent thing that we definitely do want to keep as a permanent buff. Ooh, Explorer's Footpads, that's the boots we are currently wearing. I think they're quite common, the Explorer set. So most of the time, if you're playing on your second or your third or your however many character, chances are you will have collected these from earlier characters. And I just realized we got ourselves a devotion point. We were gonna go for the candle. Yeah, so that's this one. Small bonus to fire damage. Also, we got an activated ability. When we got this, we only had a Word of Renewal to bind it to. Or Deadly Aim, which is about as infrequent in its appearance. Electrifying weapons is something that we just activate and keep up all the time, and we don't have to think about it. So moving your procs to the more permanent buffs rather than the things you want to keep up but might forget is a better thing from a safety perspective. Because especially if you forget to renew your Word of Renewal, you will be on lower health and you will be missing out on a lot of benefits, so you're already in a weakened state. So not having your defensive turtle proc on there is just going to be making it worse. So moving it to something like an electrifying weapon's definitely better from a safety perspective. Hello there, ghosties. Ah, wonderful. So one thing to keep in mind early on, most of the skills that you pick up early on will be decently powerful, like the runes. If you don't put any more points into it, over time they will of course become less powerful. That's just, no, you need to put points in to make them more powerful. So the blade pattern as I have it, without further investment, will become weaker. But that's also a thing to look at. My primary reason for picking the runes is their crowd control aspects. The damage is just a bonus. So we'll just have to see whether the damage is a good enough reason to change our plans later on or not. Let's see, we leveled yet again. That is the nice thing about the lower levels. So if we put another 2 points into advancing our bar, we have another point to spend. So this boosts all of our damage, including attack speed. Yeah, it is tempting actually to boost bursting rounds just to increase the size of the AoE. The chance to be used is not going to increase much more because we're past the point where it is efficient to do so. But just increasing that radius means that when it hits many more enemies and it's easier to clear packs with it. So this makes it very tempting. On the other hand, Word of Renewal, more points means more speed, more defensive ability, more healing, so that is useful, but I don't think we really have all that much issues maintaining our health, so no, that's not that bad. Increasing our health, always useful as well. Deadly aim. No, there's arguments to be made for everything. For now, I think I'm actually going to put a couple more points into bursting rounds just to see if that does help our clearing of groups of enemies. I think it's not whenever there's an explosion. That was the burst. It seems to be doing its thing. I do see a lot of ghosts exploding. Even better, we just exited where we entered. So then we can use this to just walk around and actually complete that quest I talked about earlier. So Drew Larkin, what happened to you? Oh no, Isaiah betrayed you, you say? Well, I will have a chat with Isaiah. But before that, I'm gonna get distracted by a little bit of loot on the other side. There's a corpse here. Of course, corpses contain loot. That's the main reason I care about corpses. I know, that's the... It's the grimness of the Grim Dawn speaking, of course. Why am I letting myself get surrounded? I need to group up enemies, not get surrounded. That's not a good deal. There we have him, Isaiah. You, mister, you were evil to the other guy. Yes, I'm here about your partner. But, what? Okay, you have come to say it's a huge misunderstanding, you say? What? Explain it. What did Drew betray you? Oh, I'm so sorry, sir. I'll be more careful in the future. Farewell. That's no moral lesson here. Don't rush to conclusions. Some people might actually be nice. In this case, we weren't there, so, well, just listen to the guy, keep him happy. It's gonna be a merchant in Homestead, so it is nice to be nice. It's like karma. Oh, it does pay off. And then we are in town. Hello there, Greven. Do you need some assistance? I will look for your elder. Bernard, what do you want? You want me to clear a way through? So you want me to clear the road that the bandits have blocked? I will do that for you. Wonderful. So with that, we have arrived in the Arcovian foothills at the first rover camp. Let's see, do we need to spend something here still? Yeah. Well, for now I'm just still dividing physique and cunning 50-50. There's going to be some items that will need selling. I believe none of the items we found were actual upgrades, so that is nice. It means we can ignore them / sell them. I'm gonna swap out the cracked lodestone over here for... good question actually. Chilling weapons will include a 10% slow, whereas there's no crowd control on the flint, but instead we actually get a small damage bonus. 15% chance of 350. That is about 50 damage on average, if you just normalize it down, but you know, it's only gonna apply like 1 every 6 or 7 hits, then you will get it. And it is damage over time that's gonna apply over 3 seconds, so that means average down 50 damage per hit, applied over 3, so that's 17 DPS. If you have a look at it, currently we're doing 418 DPS, so in the bigger picture, it's not that much. So I think, you know, going for a slow might be better just to keep enemies under control. So I'll do some swapping out along the vein that I did earlier. And then I hope to see you again next time. So for now, thank you very much for watching. Hope to see you again next episode. Bye bye.